In part 1, we're going to review this interesting little handheld and discuss a couple of the shortcomings. In part 2, we're going to fix some of those shortcomings. Today we do, tomorrow we teach. Let's go into the Bungalow world. So let's crack open the MagicX 040 handheld. The box itself is above average, but isn't anything fancy. Inside, you'll get the unit, a USB-C cable, and a couple of inserts. The included cable is decent quality, nothing premium, but it gets the job done. At least it's USB-C and not micro USB, like we still see on some of these lower-end handhelds. The device itself feels good in the hand, at least for short bursts of play. Your mileage may vary based on your hand size, of course. This is a vertical form factor with 4-inch IPS display running at 480 by 800. Inside, it's powered by an all-winner A133 quad-core processor running at 1.8 GHz with a startling 2 GB of RAM. It's not a powerhouse by any definition, but for DS and vertical arcade titles, it's more than adequate and should be strong enough to handle other early-gen emulators. More on this later. Storage is handled by dual microSD slots, similar but different to the venerable Anbernic. The included 64 GB card has the operating system and ROMs and BIOS files baked right in, and the other Android slot adopts for storage either as portable or as extended storage for Android. This is an important message for anyone watching my video right now. Peace and love, peace and love. I want to warn you that the included SD card is loaded with games and ROMs. Peace and love, peace and love. If you download a recovery image from their website, all of the games will be tossed. I warn you with peace and love, back up your card or risk losing all of your games. I warn you with peace and love, peace and love. All right, so listen to Ringo Shane. If you plan on doing any tinkering or want to protect that shady content, make that backup first thing. Clone it. Copy it, at least back up the ROMs and BIOS files if you don't have that sort of thing yourself. Oh, and that gameless image they provide seems to write better with Rufus than Etcher, so beware of that. The included SD card claims to be a SanDisk Ultra, but I've seen fakes before, and I would certainly consider replacing it with a known real card just to be sure, or at the very least, have that backup so that you can restore it to a good card if and when this one takes a dump. The power is a momentary push button, and the button layout is complete. 4-face, start, select, R1, R2, L1, L2, and L3 on the stick. There's also a dedicated home back button to help navigate the UI. Now let's move into what this thing does well, because despite some quirks, there are some things to love here. First, the game library it ships with is just nuts, drowning in games. So if you're into shooters like 1942, you're in luck. Nintendo's own first-party games are notably absent, which honestly feels like a breath of fresh air. No stolen Mario or Zelda this time, and this is how you keep the big N off your back. Good job, MagicX. Keeping in line with that, we will not show much in the way of first-party titles, but we do have to do at least one. More on that later. That being said, some of the arcade greats are still missing. Oddly, Pooyan, Arkanoid, Burger Time, Tron, just to name a few that aren't here. And without Nintendo titles, we're missing games like Popeye and Donkey Kong. If you're well-cultured, you'll notice the gaps. But then they'll surprise you with some deep-ass cuts like Joust 2 and Shadowlands Road, Jackal, Krull, and others. Yes, some of the vertical vector games are here, but the resolution is far too low to appreciate them. The interface, though, I gotta hand it to them, is pretty damn good. It runs Android 10 underneath with a custom launcher called Dawn.
Dawn. D-A-W-N.
The launcher itself is vertical and touch-friendly. It takes a little time to adjust, of course, but once you get the hang of it, it's smoother than most of the junk interfaces we usually see. You don't get Google Play out of the box, of course, but sideloading APKs is super easy via OTG. You can install other emulators, utilities, even comic book readers, or VLC for media playback. We're going to cover most of this in part 2. Now let me save you the trouble. Using this as a comic reader in a pinch works, but it's not enjoyable on the screen despite the great orientation. For media playback, though, install VLC, and we'll show you how to make it palatable in part 2. On the hardware side, the headphone jack is an absolute blessing. In 2025, I'm still thrilled to see a proper jack. Plug in wired headphones and you're golden. Bluetooth audio does work, but even with gaming mode, bud, there's latency. I noticed it and you'll notice it. If you care about timing in arcade shooters, stay wired. The initial boot of the system is a little on the slow side, but once you get it into hibernation mode, it wakes up quickly and seemingly reliably. Screen captures are supported and you can record gameplay video, but keep in mind you don't get audio with those videos. Now, this wouldn't be one of my reviews if I didn't cover the rough spots, and this device has its share. Some games just aren't pre-optimized. Phoenix is a good example. It doesn't run right out of the box. Punch-Out, a rare Nintendo outing here, is another. The overlay messes with the display and it gets in your way. Some games just don't lend themselves to the controls. Several games like Galaga and Carnival, as examples, are missing sound samples. That kind of thing drives me crazy, but that is fixable. The launcher also shows ROM file names as the game titles, which makes for a pretty ugly browsing experience, to be honest with you. And again, you can fix it, but you'll have to wonder why you need to. When the front end is backed with Screen Scraper's API, why the hell is this the case? We'll work with this in part 2 as well. The screen resolution isn't perfect for all occasions, so you'll see some stepping or unrefined scaling a little here and there. Again, it's a $75 jack-of-all-trade device, so it's expected. File management is its own beast. The operating system and the ROMs share the same card, which complicates things. It looks like Linux running an Android layer, running emulators. When plugged into a PC via OTG, it shows up like an Android device and the file system is easy to access. Now, you could access the card on a Linux OS or something like Linux file system for Windows, but it's kind of a mess. Just use the OTG. Easy peasy. And of course, FTP is available here too if you would like to set that up. Now let's take a look at a few of the pre-installed games and wrap this up. While you can do a boatload out of the box with hundreds of games, it is not a Switch or even a Steam Deck. If you're at home with Android, you'll have an easier time. If you're familiar with emulation on other devices like the aforementioned Deck, Raspberry Pi, or Ambernick or similar, you will immediately be able to extend this far beyond what's out of the box. The hardware's average here, and at $75, I would expect nothing different. The D-pad is decent, the analog stick is smooth, and all the buttons you need are there. The screen is pretty and touchable. The touchscreen polling is better than even the Steam Deck LCD for games like Meteos, Pac-Pix, and Kirby's Canvas Curse. It's a bit of a gimmick device, and that's okay. Someone will surely point out in the comments that for just another $30 or $40, you can lay your hands on a Nintendo 2DS and get all of this and more, but it wouldn't even be close to as easy, and the 2DS is, well, it's missing a little of the charisma of this unusual handheld. And when you start talking about 50% more on the price, you're sort of leaving the field of engagement, right? It's fun, it's small, it's lightweight, and it's kind of neat. If you've had your eyes on one, I say go for it. All right, that's going to do it for part 1. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, yada, yada, yada. Watch for part 2 where we really dig into the bowels of this system and show you how to close some gaps on its shortcomings. I'm Shane R. Monroe. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you next time.